collapsed in the city of Genoa during a violent storm. Reports now say 11 people are dead.
43 lives lost, a city paralyzed, and a tragedy that shocked the world. But the collapse of Genoa's Morandi bridge wasn't just about aging infrastructure. Beneath the rubble lies a darker truth. A story of unchecked greed, systemic negligence, and profit put before safety. Today, we're exposing the forces that allowed this disaster to happen. Why were urgent warnings ignored? Who chose profit over people? And how can we ensure this never happens again? The answers might leave you questioning the foundations of our modern world. When it opened in 1967, the Morandi Bridge was hailed as an engineering marvel. Designed by Riccardo Morandi, it symbolized Italy's economic resurgence, a sleek, futuristic span over Genoa's Polcevera Valley. But fast forward a few decades, and the cracks, literal and metaphorical, began to show. As traffic volume soared, the bridge, which was built for lighter loads, became overwhelmed. Meanwhile, its concrete-encased cables made inspections and repairs almost impossible. Still, the bridge stood, not because it was safe, but because it was convenient for drivers and for those profiting from its operation. In 1999, Italy privatized its highways, handing over maintenance responsibilities to private operators like Autostrade per Italia. The idea? Efficiency, innovation, and better service. The reality? Profit became king. Autostrade, a for-profit company, collected billions in toll revenue, but instead of reinvesting in critical maintenance, it prioritized dividends for shareholders. Reports show that the bridge's ninth pylon, the one that collapsed, had been flagged as dangerously corroded years before. Yet, instead of reinforcing the structure, Autostrade approved only minimal repairs, arguing that full-scale fixes were too expensive. In fact, by 2016, the cost of patchwork maintenance on the Morandi Bridge had exceeded the price of replacing it entirely. Yet, rebuilding wasn't pursued. Why? Because shutting down the bridge meant lost revenue, a cost the company wasn't willing to bear. The disaster didn't come without warning. Engineers had been raising alarms for decades. In the 1990s, they noted alarming levels of corrosion in the cables. By 2016, experts publicly declared the bridge an engineering failure in need of immediate replacement. In 2018, just months before the collapse, Professor Carmelo Gentile reported significant anomalies in the structure's acoustic properties, suggesting catastrophic failure was imminent. But no action was taken. The operators chose to patch up the problems, downplay risks, and keep the bridge operational, all while collecting toll fees. Safety wasn't just ignored, it was sacrificed on the altar of profit. August 14, 2018. Torrential rain hammered Genoa as families, truck drivers, and tourists crossed the Morandi Bridge. At 11:36 am, a 200-meter section collapsed, plunging cars and trucks 45 meters into the valley below. 43 lives were lost in an instant. And for what? A few more years of toll revenue. The cost of doing nothing was paid in blood. The collapse ignited a firestorm of outrage. Autostrade executives blamed government regulators. The government blamed Autostrade. Meanwhile, grieving families demanded justice for their loved ones. Investigators found damning evidence Autostrade had minimized risks in its reports to regulators, while the government had rubber-stamped approvals. It was a perfect storm of greed, complacency, and failed oversight. But justice remains elusive. Trials drag on, with both sides denying responsibility. For the victims' families, closure feels as distant as ever. Genoa is not an isolated case. Across the world, aging infrastructure is being pushed to its limits, while maintenance budgets are slashed. The Morandi Bridge collapse is a warning, a stark reminder of what happens when profit is prioritized over people. The question isn't just, how could this happen? It's, where will it happen next? After the collapse, Genoa rebuilt the bridge with the Genoa St. George Bridge, designed by Renzo Piano. With cutting-edge monitoring system, it's a triumph of modern engineering, but it's also a reminder of what happens when greed overshadows safety. To prevent future disasters, we need a systemic change. That means tougher regulations, transparency in private contracts, and prioritizing public safety over corporate profits. The Morandi bridge collapse wasn't just an accident. It was a preventable tragedy fueled by greed and neglect. As we build the future, we must ask ourselves, are we putting safety first, or are we building disasters waiting to happen? If this story resonated with you, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden forces shaping our world. And remember, when it comes to safety, we can't afford to cut corners. It's been your host, Curious Engineer.